Hello, and welcome to Hold This Thought, a podcast where I invite you to hold on to thoughts that you might not have had before. Each week, I sit across from a new guest, and we talk life, ideas, and ponder the questions that make us think twice. I hope you enjoy the show.
I like spicy wings, so I got the hottest hot sauce that they had. It was still not hot enough, though.
You like really hot?
I like really, really hot. Like if at Taco Mac, they have this sauce called Slow Burn.
Oh, yeah.
It's the spiciest one.
I don't like that one. It's
so good.
It's too hot for me.
When you leave, you have like permanently red lips for a while.
Yeah.
I don't even have to wear lipstick.
I can't remember. Is that one I have to wear lipstick. That's funny. Is that one more dry rub, or is it more of like a wet
It's a wet sauce.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, it's a wet sauce. I like the wet ones. I feel like they're spicier than the dry rubs. I've never had a really spicy dry rub that I liked.
I like the spicy dry rubs, maybe because they aren't as spicy.
Yes, I just like it to burn. I just want my mouth to be on fire.
I have a friend who's that way. It's a little bit too much for me.
Yes, it is a lot. We're a rare breed, but I love it. It's so good. I got someone described me recently as intense, and I don't think that I'm an intense person. I thought that was an interesting adjective.
Interesting
for
adjective.
Me. Yes.
You know what's intense?
What?
Camping.
Camping. Oh, whoops.
The headphones fell off.
What happened?
Uh-oh. I don't know. That's the first time that's ever happened.
I feel like they need to be. I knew they were loose, but I was like,
oh, yeah. If it's not tied on your head, yeah, you can squanch them down.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Goes this way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. Let's do this.
And this one is still a little high if you want to. That'll probably make it in the episode.
There we go.
By the way.
And that's fine.
It was so funny.
It was so funny and unexpected.
Funny and unexpected.
Yes. But now they're snug on my head. It felt loose, but I was like, well, it's probably, fitting like it's supposed to fit. But there we go. But yes, camping is intense. Did you go camping growing up?
A little bit, but that was more of a dad joke because you camp in a tent, so it's intense.
Oh, see, that totally went right over my head, which is a classic dad joke.
Yeah. It's
I'm sorry, Christian. I totally
okay. I just became a dad,
joke.
so I'm working on my by the time she's able to listen and talk and roll her eyes, I want to make sure I have a good library of content.
You might want to leave that out.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's awesome.
How do you feel about being put on the spot? Like, you're all for it, or it's like, I'm not a fan?
Oh, I love being on the spot.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me something you've never told anyone. Maybe something that very few people know about you.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man, that's a hard one. Because I feel like it should be something like really, really interesting. Very few people know I was born in Spain. See, you're shocked. Yes.
I am shocked.
And the most people that I tell forget it. And when they hear it again, they're like, what? And I'm like, I know I've told you this before. Yes.
Let's hear the story on that.
So my parents were actually missionaries in Spain.
Wow.
They went over there before I was even born. My brother was maybe, he was little, maybe 1.5 or something like that. And so they were on the mission field for about till I was almost 6 years old. My little sister was actually born in Spain as well. And then we all moved back here as a family to Gwinnett County right before I turned 6. And so I was, raised here the rest of the time, but born over there. Definitely remember things about Spain. I would love to go back and visit one day. It's a beautiful country. But yeah, that's definitely something that not a lot of people know. And, they look at me, they hear my voice, and they're like, what? You're from Spain? And I'm like, I was just born there. And no, I'm not a dual citizen. I get asked that every time. I am not a dual citizen.
So how long were you physically there after being born?
For about 5 years. I think we came back to the States once or twice on furlough. My parents would come back, to visit family and had a little break. But yeah, about 5 years altogether.
Gotcha.
So it was really interesting thing that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. I think living in Spain is pretty cool, or at least being born there, because most people don't have that on their resume.
Nope.
And that's pretty cool. So have you ever been back since?
No, I haven't. I would love to, though. I really would like to go visit, just because it's a beautiful country from what I remember. Even just as a little kid, it was, it's just pretty there. And I would love to go to the Mediterranean side. I don't remember if I went there as a kid. I know we went to Barcelona. That's one of the bigger cities there. But I was actually born on the West Coast in a little town called Lugo, which is on the Atlantic side of Spain. And my sister was born in Vigo, Spain, which is not too far from there. So I'd love to go back and just to see it and visit would be cool.
Yeah. That'd be really cool. How many siblings do you have?
I actually have 2. I'm the middle child.
Okay.
So I have an older brother, and then I have a little sister. She's almost 5 years younger than me, and my brother's about 2.5 years older than I am.
Yeah.
So it's just the 3 of us. But yes.
I'm also a middle child, so I feel in the same energy or the same, we got the same life cards dealt to us.
Yes, we did. Middle children are amazing.
What was the biggest challenge being a middle child growing up for you?
Oh gosh. I think, well, it's funny you asked that because most people always thought I was the oldest. So I've read some things about birth order and stuff like that just because I'm curious. But most people did always think that I was the oldest. I think just with my personality, and I was always tall for my age growing up. I definitely leveled out when I got older, but I think, and I was just very independent and did things for myself. But I think that was also kind of a challenge of being a middle child is sometimes you feel the pressure to do things yourself. Not that you're alone or whatever, but you've got little siblings, that mom and dad are looking out for. And, I don't know, something about middle children I feel makes us fiercely independent. Maybe that's just me, but
I would say that I'm very independent, but I also like to be in control of things. I don't like to be, I don't know if that's something that you share as well.
Yes, it is. It's a big problem.
Yeah, it can be a problem. Yeah, I don't like to be, what's the word? Like even with things like planning a vacation, I trust my wife to do it, but I just like to know the details, and I like to be the one to execute the details, and or there's certain things I don't want to be in control of. I don't want to be in control of tax season. Like that's more of a detail oriented, like fine. I don't know.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like
I don't do that.
I want to be in charge of the fun things.
Yes, same. Well, speaking of, are you into the Enneagram?
Yeah, I am.
Same.
Okay.
Are you also a 7? Yes.
Yeah,
So I get
7,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
I had a guest on recently, Evie. She was a 7 as well. We're always looking for the fun thing.
We always are looking for the fun thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes to our own detriment, but often it works out really well.
Yeah. And then I have discovered later in life that I have the wing 8, so that
that's
makes
interesting.
that gives me some like bite.
Yep.
Some bite edge.
Yes, it does. I'm a wing 6.
Okay.
Which helps me keep my 7 in check.
Yeah. Okay. So security focused, more like
Yes.
into like. I always joke around when people are like, "What's Enneagram? What all these numbers mean?" Da 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 da. And each one has like a description and everything. But the 6 is, I always say this: the people who have the Enneagram 6, they're the ones with 21 cameras in their house,
Exactly.
and 12 shotguns.
Yes.
They are so security focused. They have, it's a joke, but they have like 12 locks on their front door, all the different bolts and
Right.
stuff. Like security is their number one component,
Exactly.
and nothing wrong with it. It's just, I have some security cameras, but I don't have 21 security cameras.
No.
Yeah.
My 6 is not that strong.
Yeah. It's good to have it in a wing where it can keep
It can keep you in check.
a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So as someone who's always in pursuit of fun and excitement, tell me about how you discovered fitness. I know that's like something that you're super passionate about. What was that like? I guess.
Gosh. It really started when I was a kid. I grew up in a really active family. My parents, we were always taking us to, ride bikes, play baseball in the yard, badminton. We went camping, quite a bit growing up. We were always doing active things, hiking, that type of thing. And then when I was in, I think middle school, my brother joined a cross country team, and we were homeschooled growing up. So we just didn't have a lot of, all these extracurricular activities. So once I saw my brother doing cross country, I was like, that looks fun. That sounds like something I might like to do. So I started doing that with him, and I started running, and I just fell in love with it. I loved movement. I loved the way it made me feel. back to that independence thing, I loved how with cross country, yes, it was a team effort, but your run was your run. And I liked how I was able to still participate, and be a part of the team, but independently run, if that makes sense. And then later in high school, I started dabbling in kickboxing and weightlifting and Pilates and just different types of exercise. When I was in high school, was probably before things like YouTube got really big. So I had like DVDs with workouts that I would do at home, and I just loved it. Like, I just really enjoyed moving my body and the way it made me feel. I liked being strong. And it was also a good outlet. Running, was something I would do just for miles and miles, to clear my head. And it just always made me feel better afterwards. So I think that, my love of fitness and movement and exercise just really began as a kid, when I was in middle school.
Did you do the P90X videos? I know that was a huge trend in the early thousands. I was a little too young to have purchased them myself, maybe right on the cusp, but my mom would do them. And I have memories of her like going through that whole program, which to me seemed new, but that kind of has been around since the 80s. You think about the men and women in the tights doing the
leotards.
Yes, the leotards doing the dance moves with the puffy hair and the headband.
Exactly.
And the long socks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's been a trend in waves, and it's kind of more metamorphed where it was on TV and then it became on maybe VHS and then DVD, and now it's moved to social platforms.
Yes, exactly. I never did the P90X. I do remember when it came out.
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of expensive at the time for what it was. But I definitely remember seeing it, knew people that did it and were really into it. Something about me that I don't know if a lot of people know is I'm very anti-trend. And I don't know if that's a wanting to stand out thing, but like if something is a trend or what you call a fad, I automatically don't want it, which is so stupid. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm my own person, and nobody can tell me how I should be or what I should be doing. So when it comes to fitness, I know this is maybe getting like a little bit further down the road, but I'm not always up on all of the new fads when it comes to fitness. Like, what is it out now? The High Rocks. I really don't know exactly what that is. And it's probably fine. There's all different ways to move your body. But when it comes to those like trendy fads that, are here today, gone tomorrow, like my whole approach is about sustainability. And so that's why I'm really slow to like get into that stuff or really even like figure it out, because I'm like, it doesn't need to be that complicated. So
I love that. I love being like faithful to what is tried and true and proven, especially in a world where there is a lot of pop culture influence and celebrity influence, and it's easy to jump from one thing to the next. You are an instructor, right? You teach classes at a local gym. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that, how that journey started, what classes you teach, and why you do it. Like, what is it that gets you motivated to do that?
Oh gosh, I would love to. I love teaching group fitness. But just to back it up just a little bit, I started my business Swellness, being a health coach, and Swellness comes from the idea of sustainable wellness. And I guess I launched my business about 2.5 years ago, and I wanted to be a personal trainer and a nutritionist. And so before I started my business, I went back to school and got all my certifications because, there's, especially today with all of the influencers and social media, there's so many people that are sharing information about fitness, but have no education to back it up. So I didn't want to be that person. I had a lot of experience in those areas, but I was like, I want to be legit. Like, I want to go get educated, and I want to get, the certifications to back this up if I'm going to help people in these areas. And so I launched my business at the fall of 2023. And my first thing was teaching at a local gym here, C3 Fitness.
Yeah, shout out.
Yes, go C3 Fitness. I love that place. And so my first jobs there were teaching group fitness, and also I did in-person personal training. I had some clients there just to get some practice with that. And I fell in love with group fitness, which is something that I wasn't expecting when I first started my business. I used to say back in the day, just because I've always, worked out, it's just been a part of my life. But I used to say the fit life is a lonely life, because it's just hard to find people that incorporate fitness into their lifestyle, because that's what it is for me. It's a lifestyle. It's a non-negotiable. It's like eating every day. Like it's just something I do. It's not, I'm not getting in shape for anything. It's just what I do. And I had found that it was hard to find people that, would work out with me or join me at the gym for any consistent amount of time. But through teaching group fitness, I have found such a fun community of people that are working on being the best version of themselves. And the energy that you get in being a part of that there's just nothing like it, and teaching and being able to lead others in that is just, it's so special to me, because I am so passionate about fitness, and being able to share that with people that want it, that show up consistently, that come to my classes and want what I have to offer, and we can all do it together. I see them getting stronger. We're running out of weights at the gym now because everyone's lifting heavier, and I just love it. It's so exciting, and I want to do more of that going forward.
I love that. I love how you've taken something that you're passionate about and you've made it available to as many people as possible around you. What's the future for Swellness and for instructing fitness? Where do you see this going in the next 5 years? What's your vision for it?
So that's something I think about multiple times a day. I am currently still in my full-time role in the finance world, which is I've been in finance and accounting, for 15 years probably. And so I do still have a full-time day job. My dream is to work myself out of that one day and be able to do my health coaching business full time. But I am still trying to figure out what that looks like and how to get there. Still lots of prayer and trusting God to lead and guide me in what He wants, because this business is His. I gave it to Him from the very beginning. I'm like, God, this is going to be what you want it to be. Yes, I have things that I would love, but if it looks different, I'm okay with that as long as it's what He wants. And so as I've been thinking and praying, I really want to, there's two things. I want to do more group fitness, but last year I started doing what I call a wellness workshop. And it's basically an event where people can come, and it's all centered around wellness, because I had started looking for one of these type events to be a part of, but I couldn't find one in our area. And so I was like, well, if I can't find it, I'll just make one. And so April last year, I did the very first one at C3 Fitness. They allowed me to use the classroom there. And it's basically just an event where you come, you can get a very low cost ticket, bring your friends, and we do a workout together. And then followed by a nutrition class where you learn tangible information that you can actually apply to your daily life on how to improve your nutrition. And I've done a couple of those, and I love it. And I want to get them into the corporate world. I would love to be able to go to companies and offer it like on a corporate wellness day, or apartment complexes that do events for residents all the time. Like, I would love to be able to go and do a workshop with their residents, and even something in summer camps for kids or schools or something like that. I want to really build that out and be able to offer that to people, because I love variety, and I get bored being in the same place all the time. And so the idea of being able to go to different places and share the gift of wellness, because I think people think it's so much harder than it is, and it's just not. And I love to be able to open people's eyes to that.
I love the vision for taking what you have to new levels, to new people, to new environments, and the emphasis on community around it.
Yes.
A lot of times, and things in life, hobbies, and certain people like maybe more solitude and alone time, but I think you and I are not that way. And a lot of people aren't that way. A lot of people are looking for a way to connect with other people.
Yes.
And as easy as it would seem with our modern world, with technology, with social media, and obviously text messaging, and different ways in which we can connect compared to maybe even 50 years ago or 100 years ago, it can sometimes feel more isolating when you're seeing stories and you're seeing reels, and we call it what it is. You live in a comparison environment where on social media, everyone's always comparing themselves. I know for a lot of women, they're comparing hair, looks, body, image. For men, it's success. Sometimes it's hair, looks, body as well. But it's, items, things, house, or what other men have. And that can create a feeling of estrangement.
Yes.
I think.
100%.
And so I love what you're doing is about bringing people together, because there's already enough trying to pull us apart.
Exactly.
And I think that's incredible. What's one of your favorite hobbies?
In addition to fitness and anything active, I love to read.
Okay.
But not just any book.
Okay.
I've had people try to give me books, which is a pet peeve of mine. I'm sorry if you're listening, because I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I feel like I have to take your book, and I'm afraid to say I don't want it. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But I love to read mystery novels.
Okay.
But it can't just be like any mystery. Like, it needs to be fast paced. Something needs to happen within the first 2 or 3 chapters that hooks me. And then the rest of the book, I'm trying to figure out who done it. When I was a kid, I read Nancy Drew. I don't know if you ever read Hardy Boys. That was the boy version of Nancy Drew, apparently.
Both of those names are ringing a bell, but I couldn't tell you what bell they're ringing.
Gotcha. Well, back in the day, we would read those for mysteries, but I loved Nancy Drew as a kid. And then when I got older, my favorite author was Mary Higgins Clark. But unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago. And so I've had to find new authors, and I've only been able to find a couple like her. Like, my new favorite is Frida McFadden. She's awesome. If you like a good mystery, and that always gets me. I think I know who did it, and then she has a twist at the end that I didn't see coming. That is my favorite type of book.
Where it draws you in the beginning, and then you're kind of left on this tension for multiple chapters.
Trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite.
I have a love-hate relationship with books. I have picked up books that I can just not put down, love them to death. And then that's maybe 5% of the books I touch. And then the other 95, it's just so hard. I remember in middle school, we would have summer reading assignments. And the books are 100 pages, maybe, 6th grade reading level, 7th grade reading level. And I would wait until the last couple days in August before school starts to try and binge read the book.
Oh, goodness.
Because I didn't want to. I kept putting it off, and I didn't love reading unless it hit that 5% category. And it's not just one genre. One of my favorite authors and stories is Christopher Paolini. He wrote The Inheritance Cycle, which is Aragon, eldest, Brisingr, and Inheritance, which is a high fantasy book. If you're unfamiliar with what high fantasy is, it's just like Lord of the Rings style.
Gotcha.
So wizards, magic, dragons, dwarves, elves.
Yes, I gotcha.
And loved that. That was awesome. Read that in middle school. Those are 700-page books. A couple of them are 900 to 1,000 pages. And I love it. I'm going through it. But then a 100-page book that's maybe based in reality, a kid at school going through something and whatever. It's I don't know. And I think that speaks broader to how we're different in the type of entertainment we consume.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to escape and go to a different world with different rules, and the gravity's different. There's a magic system that you have to learn. There's different types of races outside of humans that you have to learn their culture, and that exploratory curiosity exercise of going through that is the draw, is the pull in. And then I was talking to a friend yesterday, actually. He prefers things that are more grounded, more practical. We were talking about movies, and he was like, if there's a huge cast of we were talking about The Avengers is a classic example.
Yeah.
Him and my wife, my friend and my wife share this. They say the same thing. The Avengers has too many people in it. It's I like movies that have like one or two main characters, and then it's like it's easier to follow narrative, and then there's all this magic system and different worlds, and I respect the sentiment, but
Sure.
It's a spectrum, right, of people, what people enjoy, whether it's a book or movie or a TV show, and I just remember that was one of the books, and then even later in life, books around either personality typing or I read a book recently by Patrick Lencioni, The 6 Types of Working Genius. Excellent book. It's pretty much like the whole premise of his book is like work is broken down into 6 stages. Each person has a gifting in 2, and then a 2 that frustrate them, and similar personality, except it's about how the work we enjoy doing naturally. And so that book I couldn't put down.
Wow.
But then he has another book like The Ideal Team Player or The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I start to read it, and it's a little bit harder for me to like push through. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's certain things in certain books just like draw us in,
Yes,
right? For you, it's a mystery novel. It's that hook in the beginning that puts you on the edge of your seat the rest of the time. Whereas I don't think I've ever opened a mystery novel. Maybe I would like them.
You should give it a try.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Yes,
Yeah.
I could recommend some.
But then I think about like Knives Out, right? Which is the Netflix mystery. It's the modern take on the Clue game, right?
Yep.
And I think I watched the first one, but then it took me like a couple sessions because it's I don't know, something about it is not like wildly compelling for me.
The second one was, I couldn't even finish the second one. Yeah.
And I love Daniel Craig. Learned this today. It's not Craig, it's Craig. Saw this on a snip on.
It's Craig.
He was correcting Stephen Colbert on a late night TV show. He was like, I'm going to do a British accent here, so just
I love doing British accents.
Bear with me.
Yes, go for it.
I tend to lean Cockney, even though he's not Cockney, so don't crucify me.
Nope.
It's actually Craig, not Craig. Kind of like your name is not Colbert, it's Corbet or I don't know how he said it in the British accent. And anyways, didn't find that.
Very good.
That's right off the top. There we go. Okay, we have some British accent reciprocation over there. Yeah, anyways, so he's a great actor, but he stars in this movie. And anyways, back to the original point. That's not a mystery novel; it's a mystery movie, and I wasn't like enthralled by it. I don't know.
I think it takes a very gifted writer to make an enthralling mystery because there's a lot I've tried that I didn't finish.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very special niche, and you have to have the talent for it. So,
what are your thoughts on Harry Potter?
I've never read the books. So you mentioned like the 900-page books. If I were to be given a book of that size, I would just be overwhelmed by the size. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even attempt it. I've seen the movies, and I think they're very interesting. I am not as intrigued by the fantasy world. But mysteries are no more real. I mean, it's something someone made up. So I'm not really sure why that is. But the fantasy world, I feel like I have to keep up with too much. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's kind of what you were saying about the folks that think the Avengers have too many characters. Maybe like one time someone loaned me some of those vampire books.
Twilight.
I don't think it was those.
Vampire Diaries.
It was a
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
very racy book too. I never finished it. It was like way too that's not my jam.
Most vampire books lean that way.
It's so weird.
Not speaking from experience. I just am familiar with the genre.
Yes, but there was this whole world you had to learn, the whole new world, and I can't do that. Like I don't know. It's just too much.
Yeah, I respect that. Then that's goes into what my wife and my friend were saying. It's like I prefer, based in reality, things that are like practical, and maybe it's like I don't have to learn a new world. And I think that's where, and the reason I ask about Harry Potter is that's where J.R. Rowling, I think, is. There's so many authors I get them confused sometimes, and they all use the
initials.
Initials,
yes, it's so confusing.
I think C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien started that trend, but and maybe some people before them. But the with Rowling, and what she did is she took real world, practical life of this kid living in England in the 1990s, and then she slowly transferred the show into a not sci-fi, but kind of like a fantasy world. And there's still connection to the real world. He starts every book or every movie at home, usually most of the books and movies at home in, modern day England with no magic. And then it kind of, and each book grows in how much magic is kind of put into the book.
Yes.
And I think by doing that, she captivated a large audience of people, because people who don't like magic at all could start the book and then get engaged with the story or the movie. And people who love magic can start it and kind of sit through what they would call boring parts for a little while until it gets exciting, or it gets, we're going to this other world, we're going to a magic train, we're going to a magic school, we're going to learn all the different magic spells and things. So, and she's not the only one to do it, but she's, I think, definitely the most successful.
Yes,
I saw something the other day. She's, with all of the books and all the adaptations to film and video games and amusement parks, everything that it's grown into, I think she's like over $1 billion.
Oh, I believe
net
it.
worth.
I believe it.
So it's been very lucrative for her. I just have a harder time with books based in reality.
I get that.
I think it's an escape. Like for you escape to a fiction story that has a large presence in reality, but there's this mystery to it. And then for some people, they like that escape, again, whether it's a movie or a book or a video game, to like a whole nother dimension.
Yes.
Where it's like, I've left planet Earth.
Right.
Or planet Earth as we know it.
Yes. No, I totally agree with that. And even with my mystery novels, like I picked them up as an escape, I read as a kid, but then I didn't read a lot in my adult life. And it wasn't until it was 2020, I remember, and we were home, everyone was locked inside because of COVID. And by that point in my life, I had developed a really unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And I remember I was trying to change that. And I had turned to drinking as an escape from living in a really traumatic situation for a long time. And so I remember getting to the point where I was like, I need something different. And so I had started reading again. And I just haven't stopped. It's just something that helps me unplug, and I can fall into a book, and it helps turn that piece of your mind off that just won't stop, and it's a much healthier outlet than alcohol or, a lot of other things people turn to. It also helps me sleep better at night. I always struggled with sleeping, and, I always make sure I put my phone down at least 30 minutes before bed and I read. And it's helped me out in a lot of ways, definitely more ways than one. And it's just, something that I love to do.
I love that was a part of your journey. I think it's easy for people to feel trapped in whatever circumstance they might be locked into, whether it's traumatic or otherwise. And it's healthy to find something to pull us out. And a lot of times it's a lot of things. It can be a book. It can be, our faith. Yep. It can be really a combination of things that give us a lifeline or a rope to take us, from those low moments in life to the high moments.
For sure.
I'm curious. I did want to ask, you talked about growing up in the early 2000s, and there was a huge emphasis on fitness, and that was the skinny culture.
Yes.
What was it like as a teenager growing up in that culture?
That's such a great question. Especially as a female, I think, and I know everyone was impacted by it, but I think especially as girls, as a young teenager growing up, it was really tough. When I was a kid, I was not a skinny kid. I never thought of myself as overweight until one day I was playing with some little neighborhood friends, and one of them asked me, just out of curiosity, "Why are you fat?" And he wasn't being mean or making fun of me. He was genuinely curious. I mean, we were like 7-ish, 8-ish, really young. And I remember, but I can still see where I was standing outside. I can remember thinking, Like, I never thought of myself as fat. Like, well, I don't know. And then it was shortly after that I remember going to my pediatrician for like a checkup, and my doctor making comments to my mom about my weight and being concerned about it. And then I remember, I'd had shopping for jeans in the boys' husky section, like as a little girl, that's hard. And because why am I shopping in the boys' department? And then you've got this skinny culture growing up in, and everyone, all the magazines, all the movies, all the TV shows. Thank goodness I didn't have the social media that we have nowadays at that time. But you're still just everywhere you turn, you're exposed to women need to be skinny in order to be beautiful. Women need to be skinny, this thin, have everything perfect in order to be loved. And that was my perception of that growing up in that culture. We didn't have the body positivity movement that we've had in more recent years. And it ended up that I became very conscious of my body and how I looked and my weight. And I associated being overweight or heavier than others as bad. Something was wrong with me, was the message that I internalized as a child. Like, if I am this weight or I'm this size, I'm bad and I need to be skinnier. I need to shrink myself. And things only got worse when I was a few years later down the road at another doctor appointment. And I had gained some weight because, as kids, are pudgy maybe, and then they get a little taller, they lean out. And then I had started gaining some weight again. That was kind of the cycle. And my doctor made another comment. This was a different doctor, made a comment about my weight, which, I'm very passionate about that. I don't think doctors should comment on children's weight to them. I don't agree with that. But
it'd be better if they said it to the parents.
To their parents, exactly.
Perhaps,
yes. There are so many other ways to encourage taking care of your body besides talking about your weight. But I know that's getting a little sidetracked. So I think I was, either preteen or just barely a teenager when this other doctor made a comment about my weight creeping up. Once I heard that, it's like something clicked and I was like, I'm getting fat again. I need to lose weight again. And what that triggered was just horribly disordered eating. I ended up losing a bunch of weight to the point where I was having health issues. I stopped having a regular cycle. I was just extremely underweight and not healthy. And I ended up back at another doctor, at a nutritionist who was trying to talk to me about, how much I should be eating and all of this, that, and the other, and it wasn't helpful. And so it just growing up in that culture for me really broke my relationship with food. It gave me a very unhealthy relationship with food and just a bad body image and all of that. So just to kind of piggyback off of that, one of the reasons why in my business now, I am a nutritionist and I love to coach people on nutrition is because for so many years, I was fearful of food and it controlled me and I was afraid to eat. I didn't know what to eat, what was going to make me fat, what was going to keep me skinny. And once I finally started to learn about food and how to eat to support my body, how to fuel my body, how to make it strong and make it feel good. There was so much freedom in knowing that. And it just totally healed my relationship with food. Now I love food. We were talking before the show. I was eating wings last night and tater tots, which is two of my favorite things. And I'm not afraid anymore of food. And I see it as a tool. And it totally went from a place of fear to a place of function in my life. And that radical shift for me was just so helpful and so freeing. And I love to share that with other people because I know it can be such a struggle.
Yeah, that's incredible. First, thank you for sharing. And I think a lot of women struggle with that. Men too. Yeah. They'll struggle with eating disorders, whether that's anorexia or bulimia.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that is done in private.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's not exposed, and it can go on for years and years and years,
yeah.
like a lot of addictions or bad habits can.
Yes.
And I think shedding light on it from a perspective of you don't have to be stuck in that place is incredible. It's wonderful. I guess so. After your teenage years, what was life like after that? Like, were you still? Was that something has been an ongoing journey for you, the eating disorder, or was it like that ended in your late teenage years, early 20s? What was like the transition there?
Yes. So there was definitely a pivotal moment that kind of changed that up for me. I had gotten to I did have very disordered eating in my teen years. And then when I reached probably 17, 18, I was in a little bit better place, but it was always kind of just below the surface. And I hadn't really dealt with that or healed in that area. But at 19 years old, I got pregnant unexpectedly as soon as I had turned 19. And I ended up marrying my baby daddy and having my daughter at 19. So boom, you start a family, you get married, you move out of the house. And, we were really broke. So I couldn't even afford to buy a lot of food. So, it was one of those things. It just it went below the surface, I guess. It was kind of on the back burner for a while. And so life definitely got crazy. Becoming a mom at 19 makes you grow up really fast. And, my husband and I both, I say our marriage started out rocky at best, and then it went downhill quickly after that. Within the first 2 years of our marriage, the relationship went through just about everything that you can think of that would destroy a marriage. Everything from infidelity to addiction to loss, financial disaster. We were not in a good place. And I was going somewhere with that.
It started off rocky.
It started off rocky, and it kind of just went downhill. Just to be, fully transparent, my husband was addicted to meth, and he was sober when I met him, and shortly after he lost his brother, he got back on drugs, and so it was a really dark time. If anyone that has been on drugs or loved someone, struggling in that area, it's hard and it affects everybody. And so for years, it was a struggle. Like I mentioned, earlier, I turned to alcohol to cope with the hurt and the pain that I couldn't control. And it was just a really dark time in my life. But as I was mentioned earlier before the show, fitness, another reason why I'm so passionate about it, was something that, in addition to my faith in God, was something that kind of carried me through that time. I knew, like when you're in a situation where everything is out of your control, like something is happening to you and you can't control what's going on. It can feel like you can't control anything, and it's very scary. But when I would go to my workouts, I knew that at least then, for that 30 minutes, that 45 minutes, I felt strong. I felt in control. I knew what to expect. And just something about that gave me a strength and a peace. And it was just something that I did for myself that I truly believe helped carry me through that time. It at least helped take care of my body, which, of course I was doing things that wasn't taking care of my body. But I do believe that definitely helped carry me through, in addition to my faith. I mean, God is ultimately the reason that I'm even alive, that we're having this conversation. Because there were definitely times that I didn't want to make it. But I'm so glad that he carried us through. For for those listening, maybe wondering why I stayed or how we are even still married, that's just totally a miracle of God. The man I'm married to today is a completely new person. And that's a story that I love to hear him tell and hear him share. But yeah, life was definitely very hard for a really, really long time. And, but part of the reason why I want so badly to share fitness with other women is that I want them to know that it's okay to take care of yourself. Whatever you're going through, whether it be traumatic or whether it's just life, we tend to put ourselves on, in last place, and we want to take care of everybody else. And that's great. And, women are typically very, naturally very nurturing, and, but I love for them to know that you're worth taking care of. I just think that's so important.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. We see so many stories that seem like disaster and tragedy. And I think it's beautiful to see that there's hope on the other side, yes. That you went through this traumatic experience in your marriage, in your teenage years. I mean, it's really the one long stretch of and weaving story of trauma and hardship and challenge and struggle. And you leaned on faith, you leaned on fitness, you leaned on your book hobby to get you through. It's incredible that God intervened in your guys' life and radically changed your husband and restored your relationship. Yes. And that's not a story that gets promoted too much.
No.
Or too often. The story that gets promoted is the marriages that end in divorce because of the infidelity or because of the drug addiction or because of, abuse or because of XYZ trauma. Yeah. And a lot of people would watch and would hear your story and say, you could have left and no one would blame you. But yeah. Persevering through and coming out on the other side is extremely admirable. So thank you, first of all, for sharing that. And I know someone will be encouraged by it and will definitely be, motivated, or even just, there are things in life that will put wind in our sails, and there are things in life that will take the wind out. And I know that someone hearing what you shared will add some wind. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So that takes you through, I guess, your mid to late 20s, early 30s. And you kind of go back to where we started at the beginning. You pick up this fitness journey as like a vocation. Like, I'm starting Swellness. I'm an instructor, and I'm passionate about this. I want to know, since you are an expert in the field, what are your thoughts on GLP-1s?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people are asking that.
For those who maybe don't know what a GLP-1, there's a couple examples out there in the market right now.
Yes, things like Ozempic is one of the most popular. Zepbound, Wegovy is another one. And I can't think right now what the acronym GLP-1 stands for. But
they're amino acids, right? Or it's something like that.
Yes, I'm not good with all the science behind it.
Yeah.
I need to be better about that. But I do remember when they first hit the market and started becoming really popular. I remember at first I was like, what is this? I kind of turned my nose up at it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of did. It's a fad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, you get it. Yes, it's a fad. I'm like, what? And also, my approach to wellness is very much more on the holistic side. Like, I am not opposed to medication. I understand I truly believe there's a time and a place for it. But my first response typically when I'm working with people is to take a more natural approach to things. Nutrition. Like, you got to get your nutrition in check first. You got to make sure you're moving your body, doing what you need to be doing. So when I first heard about them, as they're gaining popularity, I was like, that's just really like an easy way out. Like, you're not actually dealing with anything. You're just like, you're not going to fix anything. You're going to lose the weight, and then you're going to get off the medication, and you're going to gain the weight right back. This was my mentality, and I was kind of anti at first. However, once I started, doing more research and learning about how they work and who is it's, could benefit from them. I guess you could say my heart started to soften a little bit, and I started to see how they can be a tool for some people, especially those who maybe have blood sugar issues, could be diabetic, pre-diabetic, because the medication actually, if I understand correctly, was originally made for diabetics. And I've seen it actually help close friends and family very much. And so my mind has definitely changed from being like super anti to this could be helpful for some people. Now, I'm still a firm believer that there is no medication that's going to change your habits. I think it's a great tool to use and to help people get from where they are to where they want to be. But in the meantime, I think it's very important to work on developing those healthy eating habits, because that's what's going to sustain. I'm all about sustaining wellness and making and changing your lifestyle so that you live in a way that supports that healthy life you want. So I think the GLP-1s can be a great tool to help you lose the weight. They do. I've also developed compassion for people that have what I've heard to as called food noise. I had never heard that term before, but it's being thrown around a lot. Basically, I think it's describing food cravings is what it is. Like, and some people do think about food all the time, and they, which can lead them to overeat quite frequently. And I don't do that, and I didn't realize that was a struggle for some people. But honestly, it's like with any addiction. There are people that are addicted to food. And so, if you're addicted to alcohol, drugs, whatever it might be, you're going to think about it all the time. Oh, yeah. And so it makes so much sense. And so I have heard a lot of people say that the GLP-1s quiet that food noise, and it can be very helpful in changing their eating. Yeah. But I really believe you have to, in addition to that, be developing those healthy eating habits, like cutting back on your portions, making, not eating out all the time or grabbing fast food or whatever it might be. Like, work on building those things in it as you are able to use the medication to sustain that weight loss long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know a lot about GLP-1s other than that they have been on the rise the past, gosh, I would say year, but it might be longer, as a means to... Well, there's two sides of the story, right? Yes. There's this aids me in my health journey, and then there's the cynics who would say this is causing people to cut corners or like get there faster without doing the hard work. And I don't know which one's right. Maybe it's a combination of both, but at this stage, when something is relatively new to a market, it's hard to tell the long-term effects.
Yes.
Look at cigarettes, for instance.
Cigarettes
were widely accepted in the world for 70, 80,
many years,
90
decades.
Years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, from like the 1920s, relatively, all the way up through the 50s and 60s. You have people smoking in offices, smoking at home, smoking in the car with babies.
Do you remember going to a restaurant and they're like, would you like smoking or non?
I do remember that, yes.
It's so gross.
Yeah, and then there's finally, I guess we've hit that stage where we're seeing the studies, we're seeing the harmful elements of that. And I guess my question is, will it take us 70 or 80 years to find out what that is with Ozempic? Will we start to see people dying and do autopsies and realize people are maybe developing cancer or some sort of illness that was hidden or more in disguise that isn't available on day one, the same way it wasn't available in the 30s and 40s and 50s when we weren't aware of the harmful implications to the lungs and the throat and the mouth of using tobacco. Yes. It makes you wonder.
That's something that I think about too, is we don't know all the side effects. So just in my opinion, I am not a medical doctor or pharmacist or anything like that. But just in my opinion, with things like medication, unless there's solid proof that you need to take it for the rest of your life, I feel like taking it for this least amount to get you where you need to be, and then learn how to eat in a way that supports a healthy lifestyle. Because ultimately, that's what's going to carry you and give you longevity. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, we don't know the side effects of this. And with any medication, that's something to consider. So I feel like doing it the shorter term and then really work on changing those habits. That's totally just my opinion.
Yeah,
but.
no, that makes sense. And I did want to comment on something you said earlier about that food noise, right?
Yeah.
It calls to people. I think I would argue that every single person has something that calls to them.
Yes.
It's,
Yep.
the common world term out in the world is a vice, right?
Absolutely.
There are people who have this constant, like, little devil on the shoulder saying, hey, go to the casino, go gambling. Yep. I was talking to a very close friend the other day, and he was telling me transparently, he said, yeah, alcohol is a battle for me. I'll be drinking. He works remotely sometimes, and he said, I'll be drinking my coffee, and, he's not in an office some of these days. Right. And he was like, I will fight a battle in my head of like, hey, vodka in this coffee would make it taste better. And it's like a Tuesday at 8 a.m. or 9
Yep.
a.m. And then, like, that's the thing that's like calling him and pulling him. And for some people, it's, sexuality. Yep. There are that will in many ways draw people in an unhealthy way, not between, in a marriage scenario. And so it's something that we all experience, and it just has a different coating on the outside.
100%.
There's something, it could be drugs, it could be, the list goes on and on. And I think a part of overcoming that is, for us, I know as Christians, it goes back to our faith, like submitting maybe our own selfish desires, our own thoughts, or even the things that we feel like we can't control. It's just always there.
Yep. As
Christians, we believe that, like, we submit that to God, and then like, He can take that away. Like, that thing that draws you and would cause your relationships to fall apart, or would cause your marriage to fall apart, right, or would cause your life to fall apart. There's hope.
Always.
There's a way out.
Yes.
And not to go like too deep into the religious category, but like, the point is, we all have that thing. And
we do.
The only way to overcome it, truly, to get it off your nagging shoulder, is to submit it to something more powerful than you.
Yes. Amen.
And I know that that's something that I've done with my vice, and I think a lot of people have done with their vices, and it's an ongoing battle. There's always something that's drawing us, and we have to take it somewhere higher. So
that is so true. It just reminds me, it just made me think of the story my husband tells when he, talks about his meth addiction, how one day God just took it from him. He just woke up and he didn't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. And it, like God can do that with, like you said, whatever it is. I'll tell other people, I'll tell myself, as long as we're still breathing, there is always hope. Like, I have seen him do way too much to not believe that he can set you free no matter what that thing is. Because you're right, there is something. And I just think that's part of living in a broken world. There will always be something pulling us from our hope, taking our focus off Jesus. But like you said, when we submit it to Him, He can do so much more with us in our lives.
Yeah.
And surrender.
Absolutely. I want to jump back into nutrition and wellness.
Okay.
I know that when I was growing up in school, about the only nutrition and wellness that I have memories of seeing on the walls is the food pyramid, which some would argue is wrong based on the amount of bread, right?
I agree.
And oil and fats, and there should be some reversals there. And then the got milk sign, like with Michael Jordan or some celebrity with the milk mustache on the wall. That was a public school in Georgia. It could have been different elsewhere, but I know proper nutrition education and fitness education is something you're passionate about. Tell me about what that would look like for you. Like, what's your dream, or what are your thoughts on our current education system around that topic, and how you think it could be better?
So, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the public school system when it comes to educating kids around nutrition and exercise. You mentioned the food pyramid, and yes, I'm just going to say it's wrong. Number one, the top thing is the lack of protein, or the small amount of protein. Just like a little tip for people out there that are listening, we need roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Or if you're trying to lose weight, it's per pound of your goal weight. So someone would say it's 150 pounds, you need about 150 grams of protein per day. And the FDA recommended guidelines are like ridiculously low in protein in the food pyramid as well. And so actually, I think in more recent years, what has replaced the food pyramid is called MyPlate. And it has a little bit better breakdown of suggested food choices. But anyways, that was just like a side note. But as far as the education system goes, I think that helping kids understand how to eat properly in a way that supports a healthy lifestyle is so important, because when you're a kid in those formative years, those habits that you set then are really what carry you into adulthood. Like I feel like how you eat as a child is what you're going to carry into adulthood. But once you become an adult, it's really hard to change those things. Like my poor daughter, I tell her all the time, like, she's a teenager and she loves to go to Zaxby's or McDonald's. She loves getting fast food, and she has a job now and she's driving, so she can go get what she wants.
Oh yeah. That first taste of freedom.
Yes. And I'm always telling her, I'm like, you have a really fast metabolism now, but when you get older, it's gonna sneak up on you, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be harder to change these habits, and it's not healthy food for you to be going out to eat. But whatever. When you're a teenager, everything, so you don't listen to anybody.
When you're a teenager, nothing hits like Waffle House at midnight.
And I will say, honest to God, like that has not changed. At 36 years old, nothing hits like Waffle House at midnight.
Yeah.
I can put away a Texas cheesesteak melt and some loaded hash browns.
Oh yeah.
But that's like a vice. Like that's a one time.
That's the thing that's calling to you.
That's the thing that's calling to me. Like I don't give into that often.
Yeah.
But I think that if we can do a little bit better job, obviously it starts at home. Parents need to be the first ones setting the example of how to eat. But I do think it would be helpful if kids, maybe they don't get that at home. Maybe their home life is not good and they don't have people looking out for them and how they're eating. So if we could have something in our education system that teaches kids what is, yeah, you need protein, but like, what does that mean? Like, yeah, what are some options for that? Things like, chicken breast obviously has lots of protein, but there's also things like Greek yogurt. Lots of your meats obviously have lots of protein. Your nuts and things like that. And carbs, everyone thinks, carbs are bad. No, we need carbs. Everybody needs carbs. But people think, like bread, rice, potatoes. Well, fruits and vegetables are carbs, and those are really good for you, and we need lots of those. Fats are also really good for you. I grew up in that era where everything was fat-free and gross, and fat was like the devil. But
I can't believe it's not mayonnaise.
Right?
Yeah.
My mom bought that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't like bacon until I was up and out of the house, because we always had this really dry turkey bacon that didn't, because it was like fat-free or whatever. And now once I was like dating my husband, we would go get he would get, what was it, at the junior double bacon cheeseburger. Is that what it's called at Wendy's or something?
I think something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And I was like, ew, it has bacon on it. I don't like bacon. He's like, what? And I tried it and I was like, I like bacon.
Yeah.
But it was real bacon.
Yeah.
Because anyways. But my point is, I think there've been a lot of misinformation around fats and carbs and things like that. So if we can teach kids at an earlier age, what foods does it look like that you should be eating to help support a healthy lifestyle? I think that would really benefit them greatly in the long run, and that's something that they could actually use in their daily lives. Unless you need calculus to do your profession, I feel like sometimes some of those resources would be better suited towards things that kids can actually take into their adult life and use.
To your point, most kids won't use calculus the rest of their life. AP Calculus is for a very niche group of students.
Yes.
But nutrition affects all of us.
Exactly.
Wellness affects all of us. And while there might be some baseline programs, they could probably use enhancement, right?
Yes.
They could use a bolstering, but with resources and with education of the teachers and the instructors, they could maybe be brought up to date on what is widely accepted now. I mean, if you just think about it in terms of like, you and I are just a few years apart. So we went to school at relatively the same amount of time in history. Like, there was no YouTube when we were in school. There was no Google might have just been in its early days.
Sure.
Search engines were in their, I remember Ask Jeeves was the thing, or Ask.com, all these random ones. These that died out, right? But there were these different search engines that had just kind of started breaking the ice in the World Wide Web.
Yes.
There's no social media. There was none of these things we have now where information is spreading rapidly.
Yes. No chat GPT.
No chat GPT, no AI. And so in a lot of ways, the education system is the same, but in a lot of ways, the information that these students who are going to school have access to, they can leave home or leave school, go home and learn anything they want to.
Exactly.
Anything their mind can create, they can go home and learn it. It's at their fingertips.
Exactly.
Whether that's they see a reel that's educational, someone is on a podcast sharing something about nutrition, or whether it's asking something in AI, or it's a YouTube video. Even the documentaries now on stream. I mean, we didn't have streaming platforms when we were kids, and now we have all this information available to us. Whether it's presented to us like through we open Netflix and then the suggested first is a new documentary on food, or whether it's going and seeking that information out on our own, whether that's through searching on the line or using an AI assistant to learn about something. We live in a different world than we did 20 years ago. And
it's changed completely.
I agree that we should bolster our education resources in the school. So education around nutrition and fitness and wellness is more holistic, more accurate to what we actually need. But it raises the question, is our education system as a whole going to change where that plus so many other things will become obsolete? I mean, my brother is a teacher, and he says his students use AI all the time, and he has to like correct them and berate them. But like eventually the school systems are going to have to adopt some sort of acceptance policy where they're allowing and encouraging a use case for AI, because if there's a way to cheat or if there's a way to bend the rules, a lot of students are going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it makes you think, like, how will the system as a whole change in the next few years? Not just in this one specific topic, but as a system across the globe, how are we going to educate our next generation? I don't think our traditional school system is going to be, in its current iteration, around much longer. It's going to have to change. Because you'll have a point where students, 7th graders or 8th graders, are going to have more knowledge on a subject than the teacher.
Exactly.
Because they're able to access that before they even walk into the classroom. What are your thoughts on the education system and where it could be heading?
I think that's a very interesting question that I haven't really thought about before. But I think the first thing that comes to my mind is it comes back to why do we go to school in the first place? What are your values? What should we be teaching kids? And I don't have all of those answers. I think traditionally, we think that kids are supposed to learn math and reading and writing. But I think we have to ask ourselves why, and what is important. What makes you a functioning member of society, And I know that everyone's values are a little bit different. Every family background is different. So I think it's really hard to narrow it down. And I'm not knocking the public school system by any means. I just, it's in anything that I've said today. I'm grateful for the public school system. My daughter has been in it for, however many 11 years now. And but I do think that as we look at how it's changing, we have to come back to why are we doing this? I'm a big why person in my own life. And then, when I look at other things, like if I'm doing something, I need to have a reason to do it. Like, why am I doing this? And I think that applies to education. Like, what's important for these kids to know? And yes, they have access to a lot of information and more than we've ever had. But are they going to go out and get that information if someone's not telling them to? If they don't care? You see what I mean? Like yes, they have access to like how to take care of their bodies. They can get that information. I don't think it's like a lack of information, but if they don't have someone maybe more experienced that, has lived a little longer saying, hey, you need to know this, you need to do these things, then they're not probably going to go look up that information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. If they're not maybe a naturally inquisitive person.
Yes, exactly.
Or someone who would go and, if they're just about staying in their lane, right? They're
exactly.
They might not think to go and inquire. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. I wanted to ask you about specifically with macros.
Oh, I love this topic.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned the goal, like your goal weight or your current weight for amount of protein in a day. What are some of your thoughts and opinions on carbs and fats? Like what's a good ratio? I know people have different fitness goals for different things. Some people want to gain weight because they're skinny. Some people want to lose weight because they have a slower metabolism. And then I guess at the end of that, are there natural ways to increase metabolism and get your body processing nutrients faster and burning calories in a more efficient way? That's a big question wrapped into one.
Those are all great questions, and I love to talk about these things. So I'm glad that you mentioned macros, because that's actually what I use when I work with clients on their nutrition. And because years ago, back when I was starting to research nutrition and actually learn about, like I mentioned earlier, learning about how to eat for my body and the freedom that it brought me, it's all started with me trying to learn about macros, because I kept hearing macros, like what is that? And it's macronutrients, the nutrients your body needs in large quantities. So that's protein, fat, and carbs. And as I began to learn about what they were and how to figure out, like, well, how much of these should I be eating? It is different for every person. But I found an invaluable resource, which I will tell anyone about. It's a lady named Christine Hronik. She's like the macro guru. She actually wrote a book that is one of my favorite books. It's called Unlock Your Macro Type, but it actually teaches you the science behind what they are, how you should be eating for your body type. Because just like to throw out a couple of examples, like if you are someone that is diabetic, pre-diabetic, you're not going to be, you should not be consuming as many carbs as someone that's maybe a more slim, lean build, just because of what they do to your blood sugar level. And that then in turn affects whether your body will hold on to fat or let it go. I'm not as well versed in the science behind it all. It's very fascinating. But then you've got, the other end of the spectrum, someone that's maybe super lean build, very slim, and they might have a harder time gaining weight. They're going to need more carbs. I think everyone could benefit from more protein. Like that's the number one macro type that I think everyone is not, I don't want to say deficient in, but you could probably have more of, especially if you start tracking. It's just so beneficial because we need that. Those are the building blocks. They build up our muscles, which leads into, your kind of part two to that question as far as ways you can eat to support your metabolism and like, can that change? Yes. Something I love to share, because I'm, anti-fat, I like to, anti-trend and break the rules a little bit. People always say your metabolism slows down as you get older. And for a lot of people it does, but it's not because you're getting older. It's because as you age, you lose things like lean muscle mass. And your muscle mass is directly related to your metabolism. The more lean muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate is. And a lot of people don't realize that. And so, it's just fascinating because, I have talked to people, I've, heard it, everybody's like cardio to lose weight. Yeah, cardio is important for your heart, but if you want a sustainable weight loss, you need to be putting on the muscle, because that's what's going to increase your metabolism and keep it going. It's also, strength training is a whole nother topic that's, unrelated to macros, but it also, muscle is going to increase your bone density, which we know as you get older, you lose that. But strength training will, keep your bones strong and healthy and, avoid breakage. I think we all have a grandparent or a loved one that's fallen and broken a hip or something like that. But, because like I'm all about, I know like I don't know when my time will come, but if I do live to be of an older age, I want to be able to enjoy that life. And so focusing on, keeping my body healthy to enjoy that time is something really important. But yes, the way that you eat definitely impacts, everything from your metabolism to, just so many things.
Energy levels.
Your sleep, your recovery, just all the things is very important.
Let's talk about strength training. I know a lot of people think that cardio has thought that's the way to lose weight or to get skinny or to be healthy, whether that's running or cycling or swimming or any other number of cardiovascular intensive activities. What role would you say that strength training, resistance training has in not just building the body stronger, but in making you healthier in general?
I think it's honestly non-negotiable, especially as we get older. I think that it's just so important. And when I say strength training, I don't mean like powerlifting. Like it can be something as simple as a body weight workout, but things like using your body weight, whether it be doing squats or push-ups, pull-ups, lunges, planks. There's so many things that you can do that are body weight that still put resistance on your muscles and cause them to break down so that they can build back up stronger. Honestly, my area of expertise is workouts that can be done at home with just a couple sets of dumbbells. You don't need like a whole gym, and a ton of equipment or really heavy stuff to incorporate resistance training in your routine. But there just has to be literally resistance. That's the word. Like if you are working out and people, will ask, how do I know how heavy to lift or what, to use? And like the rule of thumb is let's not focus so much on the number, but the intensity, the exertion during the workout. Do you feel like you are pushing your body, or could you just sit here and have a conversation like this the whole time? If you could do that, you might need to push yourself a little bit more. It's like that. Do you feel the resistance as you're working out? Like that's more of a better gauge than putting a number on a weight, because we're all different and we all have different starting points.
Yeah.
So if that's body weight for somebody, that's great. But if that means picking up the really heavy dumbbells for someone that's a little further down the line, then that's great too. But you need that in order to build back up that muscle. So
yeah, no, I love that. I need to make it a part of my routine. I think a part of my personality in general is I just am anti routine. I get bored by routines.
Me too.
So it's been hard to adopt them, and I've started and stopped so many workout programs, so many diets, and I know up here I know it's you make it a lifestyle, you make it but it's just so hard to and I think a lot of people feel that way. It's hard to take the mental knowledge. You see the reels, you see the documentaries, you see the education. You might have a perspective on it, or you might have a baseline knowledge of what you should do, but it's hard to translate that into action. Yes. And I definitely fall into that camp.
You know what, Christian? You should try my classes.
Okay.
I don't, every now and then I have repeated a class just because I ran out of time, but 99% of my almost no two classes are the same, because I too get bored and I love variety. And so even though I could show up and I could teach a class I've taught before, do the same workout routine, almost every week it's a new class. Just because there are so many ways to move your body. That's another thing I love, is opening people's eyes to there's so many ways you can move your body, and there's so many ways you can get stronger. There is something for everyone. Mm-hmm. Variety is the spice of life. It is. I've only repeated a class in over 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. That's
always
awesome.
new.
Yeah. Well, that's an achievement of itself, to teach numerous classes and not repeat any of the content.
Yes, I've taught hundreds now. I added it up. It's hundreds of classes.
And you can probably mix up some things from certain classes to make it unique.
Yes.
Where you don't have to come up with hundreds of different exercises, but you can take exercise A
Right.
from this version and pull up side F from this version, and then like it's like mixing up a meal.
That's what you do.
Yeah, mix
you
up
know, you
spices.
do. Then there's different, there's different formats you can do. There's different time intervals you can do. There's so much variety.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your favorite exercise to do? Like when you're doing this one, you just love doing it. It just you feel it feels most aligned with your body. It could be like a crunch, or it could be a bicep curl. It could be a tricep extension. It could be a squat, or something more advanced that I don't know.
Well, so there is this one. It's called a man maker, which women are pretty awesome. Let's just call it like a super awesome person maker.
There you go.
Okay, like a super person maker.
Human maker.
And it's where you are you're in a plank. And you have your hands each are on a dumbbell. So you're in a full body plank. You push up, and then you do a row on each arm. Then you jump up, kind of like, you're coming up out of a burpee. You jump up and you deadlift up. And those just make me feel so strong. Like, 'cause you're using every part of your body. They're great. I love a man maker.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something interesting there, because a lot of exercises only target a more narrow. Again, I know it all up here. I just don't like doing it. I don't know it all. I know a lot.
Yes.
I know a good amount.
We have access to all the information.
But yeah, a lot of exercises, they target a specific area, a muscle group, which those have their purpose in place. But the ones that engage the full body, when you're using muscles groupings, not just one muscle, but muscle groupings in your legs, as well as in your core, as well as in your lower back, as well as in your shoulders and in your arms, all simultaneously in the same series of movements, it strengthens your body in a way that maybe those targeted exercises would leave other components out.
They're called combo moves, and I love combo movements. I love putting that together, upper and lower body, core, all the things. Like, those are some of my favorite workouts.
Yeah. Do you ever get burnt out working out?
No.
Or has it just become like something that...
It has become a part of who I am. And now I will say it wasn't always like that, but for years now, like, I'm to the point where I work out on vacation. Like, we go on vacation, I work out. Like, I bring my stuff. Not a ton of stuff, but like, it's just part of who I am. And I can't imagine my life without it. Like, I hate to think about if something were to happen one day and I can't do it, like, I don't even want to go there. That's too dark. We don't need that. But it's part of who I am. And it's just become such a non-negotiable for me. It feels weird if I don't. Like, I do take days off because we need rest. You've got to have that time to recover. But I'm usually working out at least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So,
what are your thoughts on AI replacing fitness instructors one day? I know, like, AI is a buzzword right now. Everyone's talking about it. I talk about it a lot.
Yes.
I like AI. I like talking about it and its implications on our society. But we're seeing it take jobs left and right.
Yeah.
And some would argue that the profession that you do can and will be replaced in a short number of years or months. It already is being replaced in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I have thought about that as I'm looking at the future of Swellness and wondering, where do I want to go with that? I sometimes wonder, will this path, is it worth pursuing? Because whatever I'm going to be offering will be replaced by AI soon. So I do think about that a lot. But as we were talking about earlier, the value of community is something that I can't fathom how AI could replace. So I think there are some components of a health coach that are innately human, if I use that word correctly. And, I think you'll probably agree with this. God created us for connection. And as humans, we're hardwired to need other people. And something I've seen in trying to get my online coaching business off the ground, because I do offer that as well, other than the in-person classes and workshops, I do some online virtual coaching. which is great. I've had some people that have had success with it, but then others are like, do you ever do any in-person personal training? Like, I still have people asking for in-person personal training. And I just believe that, yeah, there's some people that can take a program and run with it, and they can do the workouts themselves. You can plug into ChatGPT, make me a meal plan that has this, 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 and this, and it'll spit it right out. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a lack of information. I think that it's like there are just some people that need another physical person to encourage them, to help them, to be there for them. Because, yes, working out is now part of my DNA, but I know that's not for everybody. And I think that when you are seeking a lifestyle change, whatever it may be, there is so much to be said for having another person that is at the next level to help bring you up. And I don't see how AI could replace that. So I think there's some tools out there that are great and really helpful. But as in the health coaching industry, I think there's always going to be a need for that person. Some people really need accountability. And something on their phone telling them that they need to work out is just not enough. It's not the same thing. There's a connection between people that just can't be replaced by AI.
Yeah, I agree. I actually fall in that category where I perform better and stay more consistent when I have a human motivating me, encouraging me. I think there's a warmth factor there. Mm-hmm. You have one human telling another human, you can do it.
Exactly.
That AI can't do that. AI can submit information.
Absolutely.
But AI cannot. I was telling this to someone the other day. AI is supreme against the human brain in one area, and that's raw output of data.
Yes.
But where the human mind and the human brain far exceeds AI is its ability to process emotion with cognitive information simultaneously, detecting nuance in conversation. Mm-hmm. You might have a client, for instance, let's say you're doing a class of 4 people, and 2 of them are sensitive, and 2 of them are like, hey, push me hard, like get in my face and yell at me. You being a human with ability to detect and use emotion, and then you're balancing the information you know cognitively about pushing them through a workout and taking them through the steps with how to gauge, interact with a varying group of people in real time with detecting nuance. When do I push? When do I be a little softer? AI doesn't have that capability yet. I don't think it ever will have that capability to detect nuance, to maybe even things outside of working out, but like sarcasm and things that make us human outside of raw intelligence or raw information.
Exactly.
Ones and zeros and binary code.
Right.
Like that's where it excels, but that's all it really can excel in. Mm-hmm. It will always, it'll always be soulless.
Yeah.
That's something it won't have a soul.
Yep.
It won't have a spirit. Mm-hmm. If you're, you believe in that. It won't have the ability to, at the high level that humans can, process that emotion.
Right.
And I agree that won't be easily replaced. I just had a fun memory when I was in this work. I was in a workout group in my early 20s. It was a friend of mine who was a little bit older than me, and he had this home gym, and he was doing group classes and one-on-one classes. And so I was in this group of 6 people, and he was such a good encourager. He excelled in that, detecting nuance, knowing when to push, when to be encouraging, and he made it fun. We'd be doing a leg exercise, and he'd be like, "Come on, Quadzilla, pick it up."
I'll have to use that.
And it's like, something so simple like that. Taking the word quad from quadricept, applying it to Godzilla, and then encouraging a student in a class with that. He's like struggling through a workout, and then it's like you made him laugh, and now he's like, and now you're having a good time.
Yes, I do that all the time in my classes.
And now there's that connection of that warmth. And I don't think AI will be able to replace that.
I don't either. I just don't see it happening.
AI will replace the information, like, hey, what workouts to do, but it won't replace that warmth. So I guess the question becomes, how do you make yourself unfireable or unreplaceable? How do you make yourself warm? How do you, not necessarily make yourself warm, but how do you make sure that what you're offering has that human element, that emotion derived, and not that it's like we're crying in class, but it's like there is a place of, it's like welcoming and there's encouragement. Like, how do you do that long-term in a way where as AI advances, you still always have an edge on what AI is able to offer?
I think that it comes back to keeping those relationships front and center, continuing to check in on your clients, follow up with them, maybe, circle back to past clients, I think it's the relationship is at the basis of that. And what will keep at least me in this space from, losing out to AI or whatever, it's because, AI is not going to have a relationship with you. AI is not going to care about what's going on in your life, your kids, your family, your job, whatever it might be. So I think maintaining those relationships is crucial.
Yeah. It all comes down to relationships.
It does. Absolutely.
It does. Sarah, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Christian. This has been so fun.
Yes. I loved talking to you. I loved hearing your story. Yeah. I wanted to ask, is there anything that any final takeaways, insights, something you'd like to share that would be insightful?
Oh, gosh. I think I mentioned it earlier, but any chance I get to tell people that as long as you're breathing, there's always hope. I love to remind people of that. Just because, no matter what season it is that you're in life, I think we all go through times where we can focus on the bad stuff and, or we see others walking through things, and our hearts break for them. But, as long as you're still breathing, you don't have to give up. There is always a reason to hope, no matter what it is.
I love that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
It was great. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can be notified every week when we launch new episodes. I'll see you then.